That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Are you guys ready for Cannaflix, brought to you by Fast Bud Genetics? The show will be started very shortly. Grab your buds, grab your wife, or you might want to wait and grab her after the show. We got an unbelievable guest in line for you. Stay tuned, guys. We're getting started very shortly.
All young men with suits and ties, just sitting in the crowd smoking big cigars. I hope you're ready for what's coming now. I'm the one, I'm the lady that will bring you down. There's a joint on the corner where the big boys play, where the whiskey's running like the rivers, but they all never come for the booze and bass. I'm the one, I'm the lady that'll rock this place. That'll rock this place. That'll rock this place. Rock this place.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the show. If you're just getting here, my name's Grower Joe. This is Cannaflix, and we've got a pretty special guest lined up for you guys today. Before we do that, though, before we bring on the guest, make sure you put in hashtag FastBuds giveaway for a chance to win some seeds, where we'll be giving some of those on here. But the guest tonight, guys, is none other than, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy motherfucking Chong. What's going on, Tommy? How you doing, buddy?
You got my whole intro perfect.
Oh, 100%. You got to say Tommy fucking Chong for some reason.
Yeah,
because
that says it all.
You're an absolute icon, man. So I had you on before. Sorry?
It's a past tense with the intercourse.
Oh, Tommy, man, I had you on a little while ago. It was so much fun, so we figured we'd have you on this show too. Unfortunately, on the last show, the internet dropped, but you said something in that show that was super important to me, man. And I want to touch on that before we get into this. You talked about serendipity and how everything in your life happened for a reason, and all these things fell together. So when I originally lost Tommy Chong on my show, I thought, you know what, this is the worst thing to ever happen. But then I started thinking serendipity, man. What's serendipity mean in your life, man? Like, you say it a lot. Like, what's it do for you, Tommy?
Well, serendipity means that it was going to happen, whether you were ready or not. You know, it was happening, and it's all good. Serendipity means that it was meant to happen and was good. We create our own problems, you know, like, for instance, if you lie, the smallest lie in the world can get you in a world of trouble. And especially when the alternative was to just tell the truth. You tell the truth and all of a sudden, boom, it goes by. You know what it's like? It's like you're driving down the freeway, you know, and all of a sudden there's a bee in the car and it's buzzing around your head, okay?
Yeah.
Well, if you just open the window and let the bee leave, no problem.
No problem.
But if you lie and say, okay, the bee's gone, but it isn't, you're going to have problems. It may not be instant, but one day, you know, or in a few hours or something, you're going to reach up or something, and that bee's going to be there ready to sting your ass because, you know, you lied and said it was gone and it wasn't. And so the serendipity part is like acknowledging the truth, because if you acknowledge the truth, you'll find that everything that does happen, even though it seems at the time to be the worst thing, if you just let it alone, you will see that, whoa, I'm glad that did happen, you know?
Were you always like that, though, Tommy? Like, did you always, like in order to smoke weed, there might have been some stress in your life to start smoking, right? So, like, were you always just let things groove, man? Like, cool, calm, collective like you are now? Or did you have any temper like that growing up?
No, I had to be early in my life because I grew up very, very poor. You know, I found out just recently I'm 8% Native. And then I spent the first couple of years of my life in a hospital. And my mother was also, she had TB at the time. And so she was quarantined away from us for 5 years. I was in the hospital for 1 year, and then I went to an orphanage for another year. And so my earliest memories was being incarcerated, but not in a mean way or, well, like all prisons, once you get past all the publicity and everything else, it's just another home, and with just different rules to follow. That's all. And so my early life, I really had no one else to rely on except God. and because the home was the Salvation Army home, they sang hymns no matter what they did, before breakfast, after breakfast, we were always praising God. And somewhere along the line, I was literally taught at a Bible camp, the power of prayer. And really, the power of prayer is simply knowing in your heart that you are not alone, that there is a higher power that you can contact any time of night or day or any situation, and that higher power will assist you in making your life better. Or if you're learning a lesson, it will tell you that. It will say, relax, you're here to learn. And that's what happened with me when I went to prison. I'm just going to open the door for a minute.
Yeah, you go ahead. Let the dog in. Let the dog. The dog was on the last show too, Tommy. So the dog's allowed in here. I mean, the dog's part of your life. Speaking of serendipity, you talked about being in jail at a young age, and then you went to jail at an old age.
Yeah.
So, like, how is that serendipity? What was meant to happen? Why did you end up in jail, man?
Because, first of all, had I not gone to jail, I would have been sort of struggling with a career that was going nowhere. We had our shot, Cheech and I, and then Cheech, discovered Don Johnson, and he discovered another life. I discovered another life. Had I not gone to jail, I probably would have been like the cast of that 70s show.
Which is, hey man, you killed it on there, brother.
Yeah,
you killed it on there.
The cast, not there's a few of them now. They're looking for work.
So is that something that you'll do on a regular basis, Tommy? Are you going to be part of that 70s show for a long term here?
Yeah, they asked me back, and I'm gonna. I did two segments already. Now the question is where it's going to be film shown and all that stuff. But that's not. But what I was saying, going to jail really brought me back to the initial chore that I had, and which is obviously making sure that pot got legal, because that really was my job. Yeah. I was turned on when I was 17 years old, and ever since, that whole chain of events ended up. It's still going. It's crazy.
It's funny that you say it's still going because
TikTok
now.
Yeah, we do TikTok with my wife and Shelby, and we got millions of followers now.
Is it still crazy, Tommy? Like, is it still mind blown the impact that you have on the world in this cannabis industry? Like, it's still mind blowing.
It's crazy.
Because I'll tell you right now, I'm having a crazy feeling, Tommy, because I'm a brand new creator, okay? I'm a brand new cannabis content creator. I've got characters like you, so I've got a stoner character. I've got a grandmother I play. I've got another uncle. I've got wigs and everything I put on, man. Like, it's a show, right? And I've been inspired by guys like you. Now, you say you've been doing this since you've been 17. You really have been, man. You've been changing the stigma for your whole fucking life, man.
Yeah.
And it's still surprising to this day. Who's making those TikToks, man? Like, who's do you have a crew coming over to help you with this?
Yeah, they come over. And again, very, very serendipity, they show up. There was an old saying that when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. And that's like in the karate the world of karate or martial arts, and any kind of lesson, you know. What we were being mixed race, you know, me being part Chinese, part Native, part white, part Irish, part Scottish, everything. And then marrying a black woman, having 2 black kids, and then leaving her, or actually she's still with me, but now then I fell in love with the beautiful Shelby, and we had 3 more kids. And now we got grandkids, and they're all brown. My son married an Indonesian Muslim lady, and my other daughter, she married the white guys, and so she had her mixed son, and I got great grandkids, and he married a Chinese girl, and so it's all mixed up in a beautiful jambalaya kind of
a jambalaya. It's so true, man. I mean, and back where you come from, back in your day, I mean, that wasn't heard of, right? Like interracial couples weren't dating, things like that were not happening, man. It was frowned upon. And now you have this full culture family, man. It's got to be pretty special.
Listen, it was against the law when I was a kid. Mixed marriages was against the law. People went to jail, back in the day.
So they would just arrest these people? Like if you walk down the street with a black woman?
Put them in jail, hang them.
Holy shit, Tommy.
People were hung down south. They went to extremes in certain areas, And when Japan was, a terrorist nation, during the Second World War, which everybody forgets about. But back in the day when they were the samurai, they were prejudiced against their own people. If you were of the peasant class, they could practice their sword cutting on you, and with no, nothing was going to happen to them. And so we've gone through all this in my lifetime. Can you imagine? I was born in 1938. There's been a war, a major war, going ever since I was born. I mean, that's 84 years of constant war. Now, the idea is that peace, everybody's looking for peace. But we live in a physical universe, and there's no peace in the physical universe. When you look up at the stars and you look at the comets, it's violence. That's what you're seeing. If you see a star twinkling away, it's not twinkle, twinkle, little star. It's twinkle, twinkle, zillion of atomic explosions going off at the same time, creating massive gases and debris into space that eventually become planets because of the gravitational pull of the universe. All of a sudden, these debris gets molded into perfect spheres of Earth and planets, and there's more galaxies and planets than there are sands in the desert.
It's unbelievable.
On Earth. Can you imagine that? And this is a physical universe, and just one. There's a zillion other universes like that.
So what's your thoughts on that, Tommy? Like, do you believe there's aliens out there? Not the green aliens, but aliens like different people like us in different galaxies. Do you believe in that stuff? Okay, let's get into that a bit. So do you think they're coming within your time?
Well, they've always been here. And by the way, you know how we do drones now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the answer to the flying saucer.
That's
what the spacecraft is, a drone.
That's got to be crazy coming from your age group to see these drones, and even to be able to do this right now. Like, we're having a conversation through the interwebs. You know what I mean? I'm smoking weed with Tommy Chong online right now. Yeah. It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And so, there's what a lot of people try to say, are we the most intelligent creatures in the universe? And I would say we are definitely unique, Because one thing about space is that we get enough space that we can be earthlings. We can go through our whole cycle of being a human being on Earth without coming into contact with anything or anybody because of the enormous amount of space that we have. I've often thought that this universe that we have is so vast, but there's so many of them, that I could believe that this universe that we have belongs only to Earth, because that's how vast this physical universe is. Now,
that is interesting.
everything there's a what do you call it? Yin and yang.
Yep.
You can't have one without the other. In the physical world, you cannot have. There's no such thing as up without down, or left without right, or good without bad. You see, I'm a biblical scholar of some degree, because of all the spiritual books that I've been given. The spirits have been given me like this book by Goldsmith.
What's that book there? Can you show that book one more time? I'm sure there's people who are going to be interested in that.
It's called The Master Speaks, and it's by Joel S. Goldsmith. Now, this book here changed my life. I found it back when I was like in my 40s, and what it does really, it explains the rules that the Bible, the different Bibles. By the way, every Bible, every religion on earth has one thing in common. They all believe in one God. That's one thing in common. Now, there's a few, like the Hindus, where they have various gods, but there's always one supreme God.
One leader, yeah.
And we always, and all the religions have it. And because of the language and the cultural things, that's where wars come in, where they say, my God's better than yours. Like the Jewish God was better than, more hipper than the Muslim God. But there's only one God. And no matter what you say, God is called God. That word, just the word alone, the thought of God alone has power, unbelievable power. And if used righteously, hallowed be thy name. That's what it says in the Lord's Prayer. Hallowed be thy name. In other words, when you think or speak the word God, knowing what hallowed, making that word hallowed, now you have in your possession the open sesame word.
Yeah.
Whatever you desire, he will perfect that which concerns you.
See, I think of religion in a few different ways. Like, I think it's great for people because it gives you something to believe in. It gives you something to set yourself standard at the end of every day. You say your words to whoever you want to say them to, whatever God it be. And that's your belief. You're believing in something greater than you. And I think that's so positive for people to do, because at the end of the day, we need to know there's something else out there, right? Do you believe in that afterlife? Like, do you believe there's something else for Tommy Chong up there? Are you going to be smoking weed with Jesus? Like, come on, Tommy. What's happening in the afterlife? What's your thoughts on that?
Of course. Well, to begin with, you don't go back. You can't go back. We're going through space now at 1,035 miles an hour. There's no such thing in going back. Hey, just a minute, I got to go back. There's no going back. We're always going forward. So yeah. My belief is rooted in knowledge, and the knowledge is there life after death? Well, first of all, there's no such thing really as death. It's transition. You see, it's like music. When you quit playing a note, does that note disappear? No. It's there to
Still
be
lingering.
played whenever you're ready to play it again. It's there, and it'll be there for eternity and beyond. See? And when you talk about God, praying to God, really what you're doing is using the word God as a tuning fork. You know, when you hit that tuning fork, it gives you a perfect C or G or whatever the note is. It's perfect. That's why you can tune your guitar to that tuning fork. And then everybody on the planet can hit that note because everybody on the planet is listening to the same note. You see, there's no G note for Europe and another G note for Canada or the States. No, it's one universal note. And that's why God is universal. You know, and think of this. How long has music been around? Okay.
Jeez.
Now, the human race has been here a few million years. Not a whole lot. You know, we've evolved from the monkeys and the trees and, you know, the crawling, and we've evolved into who we are now.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't the first time that has taken place. This has been done forever, for centuries. But remember this, you never go back. You can't go back. You can only go forward. And now you can go back in your mind, you can regress, you can do anything you want in your mind, because that's where life is. Life is in your mind. Life is consciousness. That's all it is. Now you can be conscious in a crippled body, or you can be conscious in a beautiful, gorgeous lady's body. You can be conscious in any kind of body that there is. And you can be a shell. You can be the only thing you can do is smile, or not even that, like people in wheelchairs. But the consciousness is alive, and not only alive, but it can travel beyond universes. You see how powerful our minds are? We can go beyond. We can think about eternity and still be here. No problem. Because and we can travel anywhere we want that we can think of. Anywhere.
I've got a question for you on the travel. Sorry to cut you off. I got a question for you on the travel aspect of things. So, cannabis. We know you smoke cannabis. We know you do that. Do you dabble in any of the psychedelics like mushrooms or DMT or ayahuasca or anything like that? Have you done any of that, Tommy?
I did. I've done acid. I've done mushrooms. Purely experimental. You know, the only drug I haven't done, and won't do is heroin. You know, I've got no urge whatsoever to become a slug with a needle in my arm. No urge whatsoever. But yes, I did acid when it was called Try This. I did mushrooms. But I was never a druggie.
No.
I was never the guy, hey, you know, let's see how drunk we can get. Let's see how messed up we can get, you know. And I was never that, you know. And that's why, like in the movies, you know, show me with a big joint and everything else. That's just for the movies. That was just for the movie. Personally, even the first joint I ever smoked, we never finished it. I took a couple of tokes, handed it to the guy that gave it to me, and that was it. But I got as high as I needed to get. And that's what I learned. To get as high as you need, and then you can still function.
100%.
You get too high, you can't function.
I'm the same way on that. There's a lot of people that smoke weed. A lot of them probably watching this, and they say, well, you can never get too high. You can definitely get too high, and then you're not doing absolutely anything. You're just sitting here watching Grower Joe talk to Tommy Chong. That's all you're doing.
But you see, that shows the individuality of who we are.
Yeah.
We're all individual creatures. And to blow your mind, we've always been here. We are eternal beings. Now, we might have spent, and I have a feeling that I have spent some of my life as a tree, for instance.
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as a tree, you know, because if you study trees, you see how intricate, how incredibly incredible they are. you know, and to think what trees do. Trees provide food, shelter, and comfort to so many creatures on the planet, including the planet.
Jeez, you'd be a pretty fucking cool tree, man. I tell you, that root system would be pretty elaborate, man. Because
I can see myself.
You've been in music, man. You've been in movies. You even been in jail, Tommy. Like,
yeah.
Tell us about jail, man. Like, you met some people in there. I know there's some stories. What's jail like being Tommy Chong? Like, are you in regular cells? Are you in holding? Like, how does Tommy Chong go to jail?
I went to jail basically at the height of my career. And so I was so famous that the guy that drove me from the prison to the camp, first thing he did was pull out a Cheech and Chong album to have me sign. and everybody, the warden, everybody met me at the gate, and I was like a celebrity. And they were very honored because prisons are homes where people live. And a lot of people are living there the rest of their lives. And and at times it can be a place of violence, but for the most part, it's a school. It's like a school. It's whatever you make it, you know.
Exactly.
I watched guys in there and all they just sat on their bunk the whole time they were there, you know. And then other people, they couldn't wait to wake up because they had so many activities going, you know. They had their life there, and it's such a home that if you get if you're incarcerated long enough, you will lose any kind of feeling for the outside. And that being released, by the way, is like another punishment for these guys.
They don't know how to even evolve into community. They don't know anything other than jail, right?
All they know is jail. And that explains a lot of those wild car chases that you see in the city, you know. The cops, the guy won't pull over and they chase him for 5 hours. Guess what? He's going to jail. And that's what he wanted to do. The prisoners sometimes call it going on vacation. They get out of jail, they're out there for a minute, then they have to commit a crime that will get them back into jail. Because the jail is like a university. You got to apply for admission, and if you don't make the right requirements, you don't get in.
Exactly. So do they put you in like a private bunk? They keep you isolated, or are you with the other inmates?
No. I was with everybody. I was in the camp, and so I was in a dormitory with 200 other older criminals. I think I was in the gay section too. I could have been. I know. See, in prison, you mind your own business. You don't even make eye contact. You don't look at anybody. You just stay in your own. That's how you create your own privacy. If you don't want to talk to anybody, you just turn your back, and no one will talk to you. See, there's a etiquette. There's a prison etiquette that you have to follow, and if you don't follow it, then they'll lock you up. They'll put you in the hall, or they'll put you in a solitary situation. You know, and the thing is about prison is that you have to follow the rules, because if you don't, they have ways of taking care of anybody that doesn't follow rules, and there's big guys in there ready to do that chore. You know, beat the shit out of somebody because they didn't, you know, a lot of them are mentally ill, you know, and so that's the sad part about prisons, and especially the poorer ones. You know, they get in there, and if they're mentally ill in any way, you know, they will suffer, you know, or if you're even too affluent, you know, you go in there and like there was some a guy in there for some medical device thing. He lied about it, and anyway, he got jail time. The SWAT team come and got his ass, and he was the last guy that should have been in jail. You know, I mean, he looked like Woody Allen, and we used to call him Mr. Clean, because he one of his jobs was cleaning the toilets in the visiting room. You know, it was one of the posh jobs.
Yeah.
But But while I was there, the drama was that someone was taking a dump in the showers. Now, the prison I was in, we had unlimited showers because we had our own water tank in tap. And so you could do 40-minute showers if you wanted to, no problem. But this guy, whoever it was, he would do his business in the shower. And then he would try to stuff everything down the drain with his foot. But he left enough evidence behind that it grossed everybody out. Now, we had a meeting. It was, I think, the first meeting I went to, the dorm meeting. And our dorm leader, Miss Strickland, beautiful, beautiful young lady. And she says, okay, there's someone's doing their number 2 in the showers. And Steve, this blind gypsy, holds up his hand and she goes, yes, Steve. He says, listen, who's ever doing that, would you don't use the first shower, use the second, third, or fourth, because I always shower in the first one.
Oh shit! At least he's dropping dumps and not dropping the soap, I guess, right?
Yeah,
it could be worse. Oh shit!
So anyway, that was the drama. Well, about a month went by, and then I got to know everybody, and what was his name? I forget. Oh, his name will come. Anyway, he's like the dorm master. He's the head of the dorm. Well, what happens? There was a contest. Whoever had the cleanest dorm for a week got to go to the mess hall first.
Oh, okay.
And if you got there first, you could order eggs on Saturday, however you want them, over easy or boiled or whatever. And so that was a big contest, and everybody looked forward to it, because if you won, then you had to walk to the mess hall, but you had to walk. You couldn't run. But these guys are, half walking, half running. It was, they play games like that to keep everybody happy. And so, we had that going. And then, but we found out who the shower shitter was.
Oh, shit.
Now, remember, these are criminals that are locked up.
Yes.
And so when someone commits a crime, right away, everybody turns into a cop, and does the detective work. Well, what they did, they went around and examined everybody's shoes after they got out of the shower. And when they found the one that had the shit marks on it, we found the guy. And it happened to be Mr. Clean.
Oh, shit.
And what happened, Mr. Clean, he was so weird. What's racist?
Okay, yeah.
He was racist to the point that he could not sit on the same toilet that a black person had sat on.
Oh,
and
no
that's
way.
He was that racist.
He was so racist, he didn't even want to come in contact with them through a piece of article. Oh,
That's
wow.
right.
That's deep.
Right.
That's deep in a person.
Yeah. Well, no, there are people, they got all sorts of phobias. Germaphobes, you can't touch anybody, Well, he had that in his mind. And so, but they found out it was him. It was so sad because we used to have coffee with him early in the morning because it was our little work group. And then we'd go off to do our jobs. And so we got to know Mr. Clean pretty good. And it was all white or not black. There was no blacks in our gang. But when they found out it was Mr. Clean, they drummed him out of there. Like everybody was yelling at him and screaming. And he got taken from the camp over to the real prisoner.
Wow.
And that's where he did the rest of his time over there. But it was sad, man, seeing him. And he looked at me. Talk about eye contact. He gave me eye contact and was like this helpless, I'm sorry, I'm sick, I'm messed up. And it was kind of, it was very touching. And I had stories like that all the whole 9 months that I was in. Every day there was some kind of drama similar or comparable to that.
Can really bring you back to level and humanity too, because a lot of the people that are in those places, they got there because of wrong choices that they made throughout the past. But I feel like deep down, everybody's got a little bit of good in them. And you probably got to witness some of that good and also some of that bad, right?
I did. The good news, we're in a camp that if you raised your voice, you could get taken out of that camp, you know. And so I seen some skirmishes that were pretty funny. One of it, another Mr. Clean joke. He's on the phone. When you get busted, like I did, they don't let you use the telephone for 2 weeks.
You got busted for what? What did you get busted for?
No. When I got arrested and sent to jail.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When I got to prison, the rule was that I couldn't phone home for 2 weeks. You know, because they want to let you know that you're in jail now. You know, everything's a privilege. You know, using the telephone is a privilege. And so when the 2 weeks was up, you know, I'm on the phone talking to my wife, and she said, "How are you going? How's it going?" I told her good. I said a couple of things. I told her about. Everybody treated me nice. In fact, a guard even came in my cubicle and sat on my bed, and we chatted for a while, and he really made me feel at home. Well, after I hung up the phone, almost 10 seconds later, I got summons to the control because they listen and tape every conversation, and I forgot they did that. I didn't even think about it, you know, because I've never been paranoid about anything, you know. And so they called me in there and says, "Okay, who's this guard that came in to see you?" And I looked at him and I said, "Oh," I realized, you know, they heard the conversation. I says, "Well, I never got his name. He never told me his name." "Well, what do you look like?" I said, "Oh, he looked like a prison guard, you know, with the uniform on and everything else." And they realized, you know, I wasn't going to be the snitch.
Yeah, you're not
because
snitching.
that's what they're looking for. They were looking for the snitch, and so they said, "It's okay. We know who it is anyway." And so that was the end of that. Now, cut to a couple of years after I got out and everything else, I come across the guard. What was his name? I can't think of it. I might think of it. Anyway, he's not in. He just got out of jail himself. He got caught smuggling contraband into the prison, and anyway, he did some time himself. And so that's the whole thing about prison. It's a life, and if you're a guard, you're doing life in jail.
Oh yeah,
you know, you're doing life, and you're it's worse than the prisoners. Prisoners, they have to be there, and so they're reading books, they're doing everything. Can you imagine a guard? A guard is like a gardener. All you do is walk around, make sure everything's watered and picked up, and you got a uniform on. It's hot.
They would live such a weird life, Tommy. Like, you got to think, man, they're getting up. They're working shift work too, right? So they're going to work for 12 hours. Then they're sleeping. They're barely seeing their families. The family they know are these friggin' criminals, man.
Yeah.
That's the family they know.
That's it. That's who they hobnob with, the whole thing. And sexually, like, I'm cool. In fact, I got prostate cancer when I was in there. But there are some very attractive female guards there, and there were some very attractive professional athletes.
Oh my God!
You know, that nobody knew that were doing their time for whatever they did, and so there was that dynamics going on all the time.
So were the guards like? Could the guards be sleeping with the inmates? Like, could they be banging and shit?
It seems to be that's the way it works.
No
you got
way.
A sexy woman and a sexy guy, and you know, and you're both incarcerated.
You gotta love that. That's a story to tell, man. I mean, if you're incarcerated and you're banging the guards, like, that is just that is a win-win right there.
But you can't tell that story.
No, you can't.
Then investigations come out, and when you uncover that, these are men and women living together.
Yeah.
You know, under these stressful conditions. And so you're going to get that. Oh, yeah. Well, remember that guard that helped that prisoner escape.
Oh yeah.
You know, remember her?
100%. I've got a funny story for you, Tommy, and none of my followers even know this. So when I was young, I got in a fight. Tried to break up a fight, and I had to go to jail for 7 weekends. I only had to go on the weekend. And my last weekend there, the guys would put on the TV screen. They put the porno on Saturday nights, and they put it on the TV screen, and all the guys would be on their window doing their thing, right? So I've been there now. I'm a little comfortable, so I'm like, all right, whatever. We'll do our thing here too. This female guard walks by and stops me. I get in shit. About 2 years later, I see her at the bar. What happens? I bring her home, man. This is before I was married. And we nailed the guard, man. So no one knows that I've ever been in jail, but I did that.
That's what I'm saying.
It's so fucking funny. Oh my God, man.
You talk about testosterone.
Yes.
You know, that's a magic thing. And you'll find that most prisoners, most guys that break the law, loaded with testosterone. And the guards that work there, they know that. It's attractive. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
It's a thing, man.
When I was going to school, walking to high school or grade school, actually, and I'd listen to girls talk about guys, and they always, you know, the guy that you thought was really the pretty boy, they had nothing nice to say about him, but the badass, you know, the guy that wouldn't follow the rules or had the hair too long and the pants too weird, you know, that's who they talked about. And so growing up, I wanted the girls to be talking about me. And so me and then I made friends with this other wannabe hoodlum, and his older brother was one, you know, and inevitably they all had been in jail at one time or another. So when I went to jail, it was like inevitable, you know.
100%.
Now, Cheech, on the other hand, Cheech is the opposite. Cheech was raised by a LAPD cop. And so his biggest fear ever was to be thought of as a gang member. So when Cheech did the lowrider bit in Up in Smoke, that was the most opposite of Cheech that he could be. And he nailed it so well that everybody to this day would like him to be that lowrider. So are you talking
the lowrider one where you guys are banged into the pole, you think you're stopped, you give him acid or something? That is one of the I think that's better than No Dave Here, man. I think that's the best scene in the whole movie, man. I fucking love that scene.
Oh no, that's the scene, that's the lowrider scene. But Cheech is an actor. And same as me, you know. Yeah, I saw Buddy Guy documentary, you know, Buddy Guy, the great blues guitarist. And when I saw that, then I said, I really am an actor. I can play guitar. I can play the blues, but I'd rather be an actor. You know, if I'm going to pursue anything, I'm going to pursue the acting.
Well, you've been a great actor, man, and you made so many awesome films, and you made so many cool things, and now you're continuing to act. So, like, throughout your career, can't even say career for frig's sakes over here. Throughout your life, man, like, you probably met a lot of cool people. Like, what was the one that you were like, oh man, this is like, you're feeling nervous, like you're feeling excited? Do you remember that, Tommy, and who that might have been?
A couple. I've met more than enough. Bob Dylan.
Oh, no way.
I played basketball with Bob Dylan. He's a big fan, and just recently I've been learning all about him, you know, and what a genius he really is. I met them all. I met Muhammad Ali. I had a nice time with him. A very short time in an elevator. Again, serendipity. I get a call from this stripper that I knew that I'd worked with before, and she had to tell me that she just had a night with Muhammad Ali. And I said, oh, everything cool? Oh, yeah, he was beautiful, gentleman, all that, you know. The next day, I'm in Detroit. I get a call from Bobby Taylor, the singer, said, the champ's coming over. Come on, I want you to meet the champ, Muhammad Ali. So I drive over to the apartment block, got on the elevator, and there's Muhammad Ali. Now he doesn't know me from anywhere, and he kind of like didn't look at me. He just, just kind of really ignored me. So we're riding up to the same floor. He has no idea who I am, and we're going to the same floor to meet Bobby Taylor. And so halfway up the elevator, I said to him, "Oh, by the way, Lady Scarlett says to say hi."
Oh shit! What a comment! Did he perk up?
His eyes got big. His eyes just got so big, and he looked at me like I was a haint. I was like, and before he could say anything, the door opens, and then we go to the same door. We're going to the same place, and then Bobby introduces us, but we don't say anything about what I said about Lady Scarlett, of course.
Oh man,
she's married and all that time, and so we took pictures, but they lost the pictures of us. But his reaction was great. Now I've had more than my share of meeting. Like I hung with Peter Sellers for a couple of weeks. We did a tour in England, thanks to Peter Sellers. He set it up.
No way.
He set up the whole tour, and we toured everywhere we could tour. Doing comedy, Cheech and Chong. So I've had a very, very wonderful, blessed life, meeting a lot of not just influential, but special, very special people.
Listen, man, I feel very special to have met you, man. You're an icon in the things that I do and the things that I love, and you're making such a cool impact, even at your late age that you are right now. Do you feel old, Tommy, or do you still feel young, buddy? You're making these TikToks. You and your wife feel like such a cool couple, man. Are you still having so much fun? Like you're still young, brother.
It's a lot of fun, but I really do understand why old guys carry a cane. I really understand that, because what happens is that as you get older, your body mistakes signs. That's why you want to keep moving. You got to keep moving, doing something. I'm twitchy, nervous all the time, and it's not because I'm twitchy or nervous. It's because I want to keep my body ready to move at any time. And if you get the least bit sick, everybody worries about you, especially with the COVID going around.
Yeah.
But I was a bodybuilder when I was younger, and that, in fact, that was my aim. I just wanted to lift weights and write songs, and that's what I'm doing now. But not the heavy weights. But luckily in my early life, I hit the weights pretty hard, and so I got a good base frame.
Yeah.
And I would recommend a couple of things. When we were at the award show the other night, we're sitting next to a producer from Canada, and he wanted words of advice. First of all, he said, "Can you give me advice?" Because he knew I'd been around for a while. I said, "What kind of advice? Financial or personal?" And he says, "Well, financial." So I told him, "Well, invest your money as fast as you get it. Invest it. Buy real estate. Put that money aside, because if you don't, it disappears. For stupid things.
Yeah.
And then the other advice, he said, "How about marriage?" What I told him, "Well, learn this phrase: whatever you say, dear."
You're right. You're right.
Yes, darling, whatever you say.
100%, man. It seems like you've got a great marriage, so you guys seem like you're pretty cool. Does she smoke cannabis as well, Tommy?
No, she's actually the opposite of me.
Yeah?
She's my opposite.
You're the yin to her yang, and she's the yang to her yang.
She hardly eats. I smoke up all the time. She won't smoke. It'll make her older. She does, sometimes she'll do a strip, or she'll do, she used to love the chocolate, infused chocolate. That put her to sleep, you know. And I got my own tonic around here, you know. I got this CBD stuff, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So where can people find that, Tommy? Where can they find the CBD?
You know,
just on your website, just website. Tommy Chong?
I got a Hey Tommy Chong
Hey website. Tommy Chong website? Perfect. I'll throw a link for that down as well. The CBD is kind of interesting because my dad actually shakes a bit. And he started taking CBD gummies, and he's completely smooth now.
Yeah.
Does wonders for a lot of people.
That's what you do. And the other thing, you know, I've been, what do you call it, monitored by the medical. You know, I go in every Thursday or every Friday, depends. And I get a testosterone shot.
Yeah.
A little tea, which helps. You know, sexually, you know, I'm not active in that man-woman kind of thing. Yeah. But I once asked Ernest Borgnine, the old actor, you know, because his rap on Ernest a bunch of years ago was that he still is active sexually.
Yeah.
And now when I met him, he was.
When does that stop, Tommy? When does that stop, man?
Well, no, it stopped. It can stop anytime. It can stop.
Yeah, man, I'm going to be depressed when that happens.
Well, anyway, I asked him, and he says, because he was so old, in his 90s or something. I said, "Are you still sexually active?" And he could hardly talk, and he goes, "I masturbate."
Oh, well, shit, man.
At the time, I kind of felt sorry for him, you know.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, man.
But lately, man, that is the nicest gift God could give us, you know, because if more people spent more time, you know, learning the proper method of masturbation, look at all the crime that would be lessened.
Just get them jacking off instead of jacking fucking bars and stuff, man. They just jack off, don't jack the bank, man.
Yes,
100%.
But don't do it like it's illegal.
Oh,
you know?
Shit!
And do it like you know, get a nice secure spot, warm. You know, get all the influences you need, whatever it is. You know,
that's interesting you say that, because I had this random high thought that I don't know why they don't make those legal. I don't know why guys can't go to a salon and some professional lady sets him off, man. And then he gets that out of his mind and away he goes. Listen, I know you got somewhere to be. I know you said you had to get somewheres. Before you leave, Tommy, I know I heard your alarm. Before you leave, one of the big questions that a lot of people have been asking me when they knew I had a chance to talk to you is, who is the coolest person you ever had a chance to smoke weed with? That's the question they want to hear, and I need to make sure I ask it. So who's the coolest person or people you got to smoke weed with?
George of the Beatles.
Boom, George of the Beatles, man. People were saying about the Beatles. Tell us about that real quick before you head out of here.
We met at this rich hippie's house in Malibu. And and George, there he was, and he lit up, and he knew who I was, and I knew who he was, and he was the coolest guy. Again, you know, he was on the God quest from the beginning, you know, George Harrison, and he, so we had that in common. We never talked about it, but we got high together a couple of times, and he's one of those, you know, well, a lot of musicians, and especially the famous ones, you know, they really, a lot of them don't even know how to talk. You know, there's nothing to say. You know, you get asked the same question all the time. But George was the coolest guy. He was the coolest guy, and yeah, and I haven't spoken with Paul yet, so maybe Paul will be cooler. Ringo was too involved in his booze, John Lennon, I met him at a party, but he was sitting on the floor in a bedroom, and he had immigration problems, and so he wasn't ready to smoke. Yeah, so George is the coolest guy ever.
That's amazing, man. Thank you so much, Tommy. I appreciate you having
Okay.
it on. And my coolest guy that I ever had a chance to smoke weed with is Tommy Chong. And you know what? It's on my list someday that I'm going to meet you in person. And you know what? I think it's going to happen because of serendipity. And this happened because of serendipity. And hopefully we'll have you on again, Tommy. Thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again soon, man.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you later.